You can't just have a business that runs without you. You have to have a business that grows without you. And I never actually had a business, I had a job. This idea of, can you make more money while you're asleep than while you're awake? Can you build an asset, something that can be sold? To be a successful entrepreneur, you have to be great at sales. And all these bullshit sales techniques that people learned in the 70s or 80s or whatever, they just don't work anymore. Proper selling is me helping you to make the right decision for you, not the right decision for me. You're sat on a diamond mine, but here's the issue. You don't see it because you think a diamond looks like a diamond. A diamond is not shiny. It's a rough lump of rock buried in the ground, covered in crap. It needs digging out, it needs cleaning up, and it needs knocking into shape. And you've got to have the systems in place in your business that can take that rough lump of rock with a bit of sparkle to it and turn it into a diamond.
Welcome to the ActionCOACH podcast. ActionCOACH is the world #1 in business coaching.
Since 1993, we've helped thousands of business owners and entrepreneurs worldwide smash through their limits and achieve extraordinary results. This is more than a podcast, it's your blueprint for success. So grab a pen and paper, take notes, and make sure you hit the subscribe button and notification bell for weekly growth insights. Let's do this.
ActionCOACH, the help you need to grow your business.
Who is James Ashford? Well, he's an investor, he's a serial entrepreneur, he's a best-selling author. He's felt the pain of business. He's done it wrong, he's made every mistake. Until a FTSE 100 business wanted to buy his little small business because the product was so good and he marketed it so well. He's built it properly, and he sold it for a life-changing 8-figure sum that not only changed his life, his family's life, and all of his team in his little small business. Let's do this.
James Ashford, when did you start your business, the one that you sold?
So I started that in the end of 2016, and then started 2017, that business started. But I had many failed businesses and business attempts from a young age. I always had this idea that entrepreneurship equal freedom. Like, if I can build a business, I can generate enough cash, free up enough time, and kind of live the life that I want. So I'd always had that connection. I don't know where that come from. The only place I can think it come from was that mum and dad worked for big companies, but my uncle Malcolm had his own business. He had his own garage door company, and he drove a bigger car, seemed to have more holidays, seemed to be a bit more of a laugh. And I thought, yeah, maybe having a business could help me to achieve that.
It's a bit like the entrepreneurial seizure that Michael Gerber talks about, you know, oh, when I have my own business, I'll have all of this time. I'll have as many holidays as I want. Look at my Uncle Malcolm over there. He's got it made. So you had this illusion of business.
Yeah.
But you had many setbacks.
Yeah, and the first business I had was a marketing agency, and I knew all this stuff. Like I was aware of the ActionCOACH program. I'd understood all a lot of the principles from that. I'd read E-Myth Revisited. I knew I needed a business that ran without me, that ran on systems. I need to build a franchisable model of my business. Yet you get into it, and I never actually had a business. I had a job.
Why?
It was a marketing agency, and there was too much of it that was in my head. I'd not systemized enough of it. I'd not got the right team around me. I'd not got the playbooks in place. And maybe that business, I think a lot of marketing agencies struggle in general. I think it is very hard to systemize that business. I wanted something that could truly run without me. I don't think that was ever going to be it. And I remember hearing Brad Sugar's talk, and he said this line that stuck with me, and I've written it in my book actually. He said, it's going to take you 10 years to build a successful business. And I said, that's a long time. He went, yeah, but it's better than never. And I thought, yeah, fair enough. So I'll dig in, I will. And from that moment, then he said that line to when I sold my business was more or less 10 years.
Wow.
And for you to personally become a different person, because you're going to have to fundamentally change who you are on that journey, and remove yourself from the process and learn things. And it took me 10 years to do that, to make that shift.
Yeah, you did build a business up, a small business. And what industry was it in?
Accounting space.
And it was a technology business.
Yeah. So I had no experience of technology and no experience of accountants.
Was that good news?
It worked. I think it worked out well. Because people say you should follow your passion. And I think that's really bad advice. The people that say follow your passion are rich people that have already made it. and then now they're giving the advice from their position. But I think, especially starting out, like whatever it is that you're going to pursue, you want to build a business that gives you the life that you want. So accounting wasn't necessarily a passion of mine, and technology wasn't a passion for mine. A passion was impacting people and making a difference. And one of the things that had led me to that point, James, was I'd worked as a business consultant and business coach in various businesses. And what I was able to do was kind of look at these businesses and look at what their challenge was, kind of zoom out and zoom back in and see what was going on. And one of the biggest issues they all faced was how they priced and sold their services. So if they could just make it easy for people to buy from them, if they could remove the friction from that sales process, if they could sell quicker, if they could sell more, if they could charge more, if they could get more people in their business to be able to sell, then that would solve so many of the problems downstream. So I was fixing that problem for business after business by introducing a little bit of technology, by making some mindset shifts and changing their thinking about certain things as well, maybe a bit of a cultural shift in that business. And I was having a huge impact on these businesses, and then just happened to find my way into the accounting space.
Just happened to find, all right. So you focused on impacting people and solving a problem.
Yes. Yeah.
Simon Squibb says that, I really took note of Simon Squibb at a conference. There was plenty of words I didn't take note of. He was swearing every other word. And it's probably, if he sees this, but what he did say is, in schools, the teacher asking the wrong problem. It's not who you want to be or what passion have you got. It's what problem do you want to fix in the world? Yeah. And, for you, what impact do you want to make? You had you had a solution to a problem.
Yes. Yeah.
And you built a business around it.
Yes.
A really simple one.
Yeah. I never knew this was going to be the tech business that was going to kick off. But if I go back to my original premise, I always believed that entrepreneurship was the key to financial freedom. I always had that in my mind. So I've never kind of explained this to anyone, but imagine that's like a shape in your head. And then you're kind of looking for opportunities. And it was when this hit in the accounting space, I'm like, it fits. That shape fits this. This idea of, can you make more money while you're asleep than while you're awake? Can you build something that could genuinely grow and scale without you? Can you not just build a business, but can you build an asset, something that can be sold? And the moment I saw this opportunity, this image in my head fit that.
Can we sell more by being more efficient? Can we add more value by being more efficient and systemizing? So you were looking for that, and you'd seen this opportunity in the accounting space then?
This episode is sponsored by AdSmart from Sky, making TV advertising affordable, targeted, and effective for businesses of all sizes. AdSmart from Sky works with thousands of UK businesses, helping them use the power of TV advertising to accelerate their growth and build brand fame. With a 6-week TV campaign starting at £3,000, it's a lot more affordable than you think.
It wasn't that I found in the accounting space. I was part of a mastermind group, so I was around some good people, and there was an accountant there, and I said, should I come and review your sales process? He's like, oh, we're pretty good, we're pretty solid. I'm not a problem. So then maybe the next time I met him, I kind of pushed him again. He said, and I was looking for a new accountant at the time. So I said, look, just for fun, I'll come and I'll be a client. I'm looking for a new accountant. I'll go through your process and I'll kind of give you some feedback. So I went through the process with him, and at the end of the sales meeting, I said, it sounds brilliant. Where do I sign? He said, it doesn't work like that. I'll send you a proposal and an engagement letter. I said, okay, not a problem. So I got back home and my wife said, how did it go? I thought, it's brilliant. Great accountant. We found the right company to be working with. She said, how much is it going to cost? And I told her it was 3 times more than our current accountant. She said, what are we getting for that? I'm like, I have no idea, but it sounded brilliant, right? But I had nothing to kind of back it up. I'd not committed. So she said, I think they're having your leg over here. Like, you need to really check this out. And so doubt set into my mind. And it probably took me a couple of weeks before I finally signed up with him. And I said, can I just give you some feedback on your whole process? He went, yeah. I said, it was shit. He said, but we're better than all the other accountants out there. I said, yeah, but I'm not comparing you to them. I'm comparing you to anything I want. I'm comparing you to the fact that I pulled into the Manchester train station, I'd booked an Uber on my phone. By the time I'd walked out, it was there, and I got to you. There was a book on your table in the reception area. I ordered it, and I was reading it the next day, and I still not got your proposal. So you might think I'm comparing you to other accountants, but I'm not. It's my right to compare you to anyone I want to compare you to. And I was comparing you to Amazon. It took you 3 days to get me a proposal, and it's too late. He said, well, how should it be? I said, if I've given you my time, if I've traveled from Doncaster to Manchester, I've given you the hour, you have got to be able to close the deal in that. If you think you can chase me afterwards, like if you just look at what I've got to do, once I've left here, I've got to get back home, right? After this recording. My son's got an after school club. My daughter's got an after school club. In the morning, we're up doing this. My missus is sending me things I've got to do. Imagine this was a proposal meeting now. When do you think you're going to follow me up? When do you think I've got time to answer your phone call and to say, oh yeah, the proposal you sent me, oh yeah, right, yeah, let me just pull that up. Let me remind myself of what that way is. So I'm going to ignore all your phone calls for the next few weeks, not because I'm not interested in signing up, just because life's going to happen, kids and everything else, right? So what's going to happen is you're going to ring me 4 or 5 times. I'm going to ignore all the calls. You're going to send me an email. I'm going to ignore them as well. And you're going to conclude that I'm not interested in signing up with you. So then you're going to message me and say something to the effect of, look, James, if we need to talk about price, if we need to drop that price a little bit, we can have that discussion. And all of a sudden I'm thinking, why are we dropping price? What's going on? So now you've eroded your trust. You've told me you're going to save me time in the meeting. You've saved me no time at all. In fact, you've wasted my time. So the whole process is a disaster. You've got to be able to nail that deal during that meeting. And that was the shift that we made in that business.
All right. So you could say it's a coincidence that you went over for that, but you made a shift in that business, and them coming on as your accountant changed everything for your own business too.
Yeah, for sure, because I'd had a business that failed years ago, and it failed because we didn't have the full finance function in place. We didn't have the full visibility of our finances. Where I was making decisions based on information from last year. So when I set this business up, and anything I was doing moving forward, I wanted to make sure that I was fully investing in that finance function. They say you should be investing between 2 and 4% of your revenue into the finance function of your business, whether that's through hiring your own people or an outsourced team. And so I wanted to make sure that we had full visibility of all the numbers. And
you really niched into the accounting industry in terms of selling that product and service, the technology that you've got. And
yeah, well, one of the things he said to me was that he says, what really surprises me about you, he says, that you're not a millionaire yet. I says, yeah, it's been bothering me as well, that. He says, either you're full of shit or you've not focused on something for long enough.
Did that offend you?
No. I knew I wasn't full of shit. And I thought, I think it's the focus. So I solved the problem in his business. I developed some technology, implemented it. He had 13 staff at the time. He was the only person that could price and sell the services. I'm like, mate, I'm gonna get 13 people pricing and selling this. And here's the thing: when people develop software, this guy explained this to me years ago. A great product designer, a physical product designer, the value isn't in identifying the problem, and it isn't in identifying the solution. It's in identifying the characteristics of the solution. Okay. So one of the characteristics of the solution that I'd identified was that the most junior person of your team should be able to price and sell to your most complicated clients. That was one of the characteristics of the solution, and they should be able to do it in under 15 minutes. The very fact that I defined that was the game changer. So even though when we ended up launching in the space, there was a huge competitor that had $25 million of investment, 7 years head start, we beat them because we'd identified a characteristic that they'd not spotted. But even though we'd done that, that still wasn't the start of the business. It was only when another accounting firm in Leeds heard about us and said, how do we get what they've got? And that was this is it. That was the aha moment that I thought, I think this is the scalable business.
What year was that?
That was the end of 2016.
End of 2016.
Yeah.
And then you started building it.
Yeah. So as soon as they asked for it, I'm like, yeah, we can do this. So I got a few 2 or 3 accountants I kind of told them what the premise was going to be. And I said, look, if you put $1,000 in if you pay $1,000, you can have this product for life for free. That was the deal that I did with them. So they put $1,000 in. So I didn't give them any shares of the business. It was just that they were going to get access to the product. And that I managed to raise enough money to kick the project off. I needed like $5,000 to get it started. While they kicked that off, I wrote that book, Selling to Serve. And what I did was follow Daniel Priestley's model of write the book, sell the book to the industry, to the industry, drive people back to a waiting list while the product is being built. And so by the time we launched the product, I had a few hundred people on a waiting list, and I got to 10 grand a month of 10 grand of monthly recurring revenue within the first couple of months.
Quite a strategy, really, as well. I mean, page 15 of this book, you say there's two challenges in all businesses: the surface problems and the core problems. What's the difference?
The surface problems are the ones that make the noise that you can see, and the core problems are the problems beneath that. They're the underground problems. So if you imagine your house has got a crack in it on the outside, and you bring a builder in to fix that crack, what a bad builder will do is fix the crack.
Right.
Okay. And then that crack will re-emerge sometime next year. What a good builder will do is they will say, right, before we look at this building, let me look at the foundations. Are they strong enough? Are they deep enough? Are they wide enough? I'm going to fix the foundations first, and then we'll fix the crack. And it's the foundations that most businesses don't resolve. And the other thing with that, with foundations, is it's dirty, it's underground, you've got to get in amongst it. There's no there's no rewards to doing it. Like, you fix that, but nothing is any better. But now you've got a far more robust platform to build on. So the core problem is the deepest problem. I'll tell you who's good at identifying problems, right? Comedians. Michael McIntyre, he does a sketch where he talks about how to get your kids out of the house and trying to get the codes on. I'll send you a link.
Well, you do that sketch pretty well,
mate,
as well.
It's brilliant, right? And when you listen to him, you're laughing your head off at him because he's explaining a situation, a problem that you face, are faced on a daily basis, that you think has that problem. And all of a sudden he's able to give you language to it, and you find yourself laughing, and it's like an emotional release. It's the same with this, with core problems in a business. You've got to be able to explain the problem to them better than they understand it themselves. That's what a comedian's doing. They're explaining your problem that you face better than you understand it. Core problems are the same. And if you can explain to a business what their core problem is better than they understand it, they will conclude that you have to be able to solve it better than me as well.
Which is, selling to service, all part of sales. One thing later on in the book, which is a core problem for some salespeople, they have head trash about selling.
Yeah.
Why you really think selling is bad. Some people think selling is bad.
Everyone does.
Everyone does. There you go. And 9 reasons you struggle to sell.
Yeah.
I mean, you got me at these points. I mean, because this is a core problem for salespeople, really, as well, isn't it? For sure. Too much talking, not enough selling. Lack of positioning. Worry what other firms think about you. Fear of rejection. You're nailing this. Never shown how to sell. And people, could that be an excuse? Could that be reality? I don't know. No understanding of why people object. How did you come up with these 9?
A really good friend of mine, Paul Goff, he was a guy that he's in the physio space, and just a brilliant guy, and kind of shared his philosophies around me, making observations as well, reading. But my only sales training was I used to be a close-up magician, right? So I used to do magic at weddings. So I always say I had the toughest sales gig. I used to have to walk up to a group of people who were probably drunk at a wedding, who hate magicians, don't want you interrupting them, and certainly don't believe in magic. And I've got 5 minutes to convince them that magic is real. So that was my only sales training I've ever had. But to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to be great at sales. You have to be great at selling. If you ever want to build a business that you can sell, how can you avoid sales all your life and then think you're now going to build this business and sell it for tens of millions? The answer is you're not. You've got to be a great salesperson. And what selling is an exchange of energy. Like, it's not what people think it is. It's not. I'm not trying to pressure you into something. All these bullshit sales techniques that people learned in the 70s or 80s or whatever, they just don't work anymore. Whether they ever worked, I don't know. But I think people have this negative association with selling because we've all bought something we regretted from a salesperson that was too good. And so we don't want to be associated with that because we know how we felt towards that person once they'd done it. But what I'm talking about here is consultative selling. Proper selling is me helping you to make the right decision for you, not the right decision for me, not to hit my bonus this month or whatever. Genuine ethical selling is I'm helping you to make the right decision for you. When people used to come to us at events and they say, right, so Go Proposal was the product. Why should we buy Go Proposal? Tell me why we should buy your product. And my first response is, well, maybe you shouldn't. I don't know. Like, what? Tell me about your business. Tell me what's going on. And I'll genuinely advise whether I think this is the solution for you or whether you should go to our competitor.
Something in that, isn't there? There's a bit of reverse psychology going on. There's probably so many levels of different things going on, but you got me with that.
Yeah, but you know what I think? Where I think I get it from, and I don't talk about this. I'm from a mining village, right? If you are a dick in a mining village, someone is just going to smack you in the face, okay? Yeah. So the only way to get by and to live in that world is just to be dead honest and real with people. You can't... I'm not going to rip you off today and benefit me because I've got to see you now down the pub next month. Are you with me? Proper selling is about developing lifelong relationships with people. I can't remember his name. He was the number one car salesman in America, and he sold 6 times more cars than the number 2 car salesman in America. And the way he did it was he was never interested in selling you this car. He was interested in selling you the next car. So if you went to him and said, I'm interested in this car, because I'm always focused on selling you the next car, I might be able to say to you now, James, you shouldn't buy this. This isn't the right one for you. But do you know what? I've seen one at the lot down the road. It's not us, but it's another company down the road. It'd be perfect for you. Go and get that one. But then after that, come back and see me next. I've just established complete trust with you. You know I'm always going to steer you in the right direction. And I've got a business, I've got a client for life. That's the difference.
You also marketed on video. Before other people were doing it on video or not?
People were using video, but not to the extent that we were.
What do you mean when you say extent?
So when I moved into the accounting space, I realised that we didn't have any investment. We had no cash. So I had to move quickly. And like I said, our main competitor had $26 million of investment. So I just looked around and I thought the way I can outperform everyone is through video content. Video content is top of the tree marketing. If I produce it, especially with AI now, if I produce a video, like so we're filming this now, you've got a long form video, you can pull out 30-second snippets, 60-second snippets, we can do direct pieces to camera. I can take that video and then my marketing team can use that video to generate an email, generate a blog article, generate social media posts. It's the absolute top of the tree and no one dare do it. Everyone's afraid of, but I'm going to sound like an idiot, I'm going to sound like this. What I say to people getting into video is, look, your first 100 videos is going to be crap. So let's just get through them fast because that 101st video is going to be a banger. Let's just burn through it as quickly as you can. And the reason why people don't do it, they don't do video, is because they're not prepared to be embarrassed. They're not prepared to start at average. You've got to be prepared to start at average and pass through and get to good and then get to great and outstanding. So we used to produce video. One of the best videos I did was we had a really good community, a really good Facebook community with all our clients in. And if anybody ever asked me a question, I would respond with a video. Okay. So someone asked a question. They said, a client just asked me for a discount. What do I say? I said, give me a minute. So I turned the camera on. I had a nice backdrop like this in the kids' playroom. There's a lovely backdrop. The rest of the place was filled with crap. But I kicked all the stuff out of the way. Turned the camera on, and I just said, if anyone ever asks you for a discount, this is the only answer you ever need to give. Posted it back in the community within 10 minutes of that. And you've got to move at speed, okay? People don't understand the importance of speed. There's a relevancy to things. There's an energy attached to something. So he's posted that question. It's now relevant to him for the next hour if I answer it. If I answer it 2 weeks' time, he's going to go on somewhere else, okay? So I've answered him via a video that I just posted, okay? Clearly people liked it in the community. I posted it on LinkedIn and within 24 hours it had 140,000 views, which for LinkedIn is a lot. And I knew it was going to pop because I used his words in the video. I didn't change his words. I took his exact question that he asked me. It was a great book called They Ask You Answer. Yeah. Mate, awesome book. The reason why that works is somebody's scrolling through social media and they've got a question in their head. What do I say if a client asks me for a discount? And all of a sudden, what do I say if a client asks me for a discount? Ding! That's exactly it there. And that's what actually resonates. Yeah. It physically resonates with them. And so they watch that. So
What was the answer, by the way, to the discount? There's only one thing you say to the customer.
I learnt this years ago. It's so good. So you asked me for a discount. Can I have a discount? Absolutely not, but I don't blame you for asking. It's the end of it. The moment someone asks you for a discount, they want to work with you, okay? They're just trying to get it for less. So you say that, absolutely not, but I don't blame you for asking. I have never, ever had anyone walk away from a deal at that moment. And the issue with discounting is, let's say, whatever it is, I'm selling you accounting services for £1,000 a month, and you say, can I have a discount, right? And I say, I'll give you a discount because I'm trying to win you over, so I'll knock it down a bit. You leave here feeling good, okay? And you walk out the door and you're feeling great. And by the time you get to the steps, you're thinking, if it was only that much, why didn't he give me that price in the first place? How much is he charging other people? And by the time you get to your car, you think we've lost all trust now in the process, right? And you've lost trust with me.
Got it.
And so I've corroded our relationship from the start, and in 6 months' time, you'll be the worst client ever. And people can't understand why. They're like, I don't understand why they're a bad client. I even gave them a discount. They're a bad client because you gave them a discount. That's exactly why they're a bad client. And, you know, I used to show them the ActionCOACH model. I used to show accountants this. You'd think accountants would know this, right? I say, so if you've got a client that's 550 quid a month, and you've dropped it down to £495 a month, right? And you make 20% profit. You've just halved your profit. You now know that you need twice as many clients to make the same amount of money, and you wonder why you're so busy. And they're like, really? I'm like, you're accountants. How do you not know this? So, yeah, just you mess the entire relationship up the moment you discount.
You said right at the start that I can outperform everyone when it comes to that video content.
Yeah.
And that's what you did. You went to conferences.
Yes.
And you produced videos.
Yeah. So again, back to the relevancy thing. I knew that if people went to a 3-day conference, they're buzzing, right? Conferences are really energizing events. You love it. And you leave. And when you're on the train or you're in the car on the way home, you're chatting to people, you're buzzing about the event. You get home, and then all of a sudden you're back into life. And then the next morning you've got your emails and something will have hit the fan back while you've been away and stuff. So the relevancy of that event, it doesn't drop off like this. It drops off like that. So within 24 hours, like it's half as, the event is half as relevant as it was the day before. So what we used to do at events, I used to have a couple of little cameras, nothing too fancy. I'd film a bit of the keynote talk. I'd go and film some of the stands. I'd go and ask some of the people, what are you getting from this event? How great is this event? So I'd capture a good sense of the thing. And then with about an hour to go, I'd just do a piece to camera and say, what an incredible event. How awesome this has been. These have been my key takeaways, my key learnings. A big shout out to X, Y, and Z. Mention several of the big companies that I've been and spoke to as well. So the event would finish at 5 o'clock. I'd go straight to a pub, just headphones on, edit the video, very simply. It doesn't have to be fancy. All I was looking for was an 8 out of 10 video. It doesn't have to be a 10 out of 10 video. An 8 out of 10 video done within an hour of that event will outperform the 10 out of 10 video that the conference organisers have done that takes them 2 weeks to do. My videos got more views than theirs because I hit the peak of the relevancy.
Peak of relevancy. And you kept doing that.
Yeah.
Over what period were you churning out video content in that industry for new clients?
For 5 years. For 5 years. It took us 5 years from starting that business till we sold. And I would imagine we posted a video every day.
And but before you sold, what was the consultation for selling? Was it a 6-month window, a year? How long did it take to actually sell it?
So bearing in mind, we built this business to sell from day one. On day one, before we got our first customer, I sat and thought, who could possibly buy this business? It could be Xero, it could be Sage, Receipt Bank, QuickBooks. And I got my logo, Go Proposal logo, and I put their name under the logo, and I changed the colour of my logo to their colour, and I printed it out and I put it on the wall. And I thought, this is going to be one of those businesses that we sell it to. I did a financial planning exercise with my wife, and we concluded that if we could sell for 5 million or more, then we could be financially free for the rest of our lives. So I had a figure in mind. I had a set of companies in mind.
It was clear, it was printed, it was vivid. You could see it every single day. You could feel it. You put the colour of their business, Xero and Sage, on your logos.
Yeah. So now all of our financial planning was all around moving towards this valuation. Everything became so much clearer. Any member of staff that joined the business, they were told, you are joining a business that will be sold. We had playbooks for absolutely everything. This business completely ran without me. And here's the thing. It's not just that you need a business that runs without you. You need a business that grows without you. A business that can solve problems without you, that can recruit staff without you, fire staff without you, innovate without you. If it can't do all those things, then when you come to sell the business, it won't work. So we knew that if we could get that business to £1 million in revenue, we thought we could kind of start to get some interest from people. And at that point, people started to come out of the woodwork and say, we're interested in potentially acquiring you. All them conversations fizzled to nothing. And then another business in our space sold for what I thought was a good valuation, more than what my original goal was. So I approached the M&A company that had done the deal for them and said, do you think you can do something similar for us? They said, I think so. So we embarked on that process. It took 3 months in the first instance to kind of knock us into shape. We were in good shape to start with. All our finances were in place. Here's the thing. The first question anyone will ask you when they're looking at your business is, can you send me the last 3 years of monthly management accounts? Okay. If you can't send that within 10 minutes of that question being asked, they know that you've not got your shit together. So you've got to have all your monthly financials sorted and know where they are and be able to send them, right? So we were in good shape to start with, but it took them 3 months to prepare us to be bought by a PLC, because obviously they're under, they have far greater auditing, far greater scrutiny. They're preparing us to stand up to that level of scrutiny. We took it to market. 6 companies wanted a management presentation from us. 2 of those then made an offer. And then from there, the process was 6 months. But here's the key thing with that. During that time, 100% of my time was on that process, not on the business at all, right? 50% of the operations director was on that, and 10% of key members of staff was on that. The business had to grow, as we said it was, throughout that period. Now, I always remember we got to the last month of the process, and they said, right, just before we sign everything, can we just see this last month's financial figures? And they wanted to see that without my involvement in that business at all, that we'd continue to grow exactly as I said we would throughout the process, and we did. So this is why you can't just have a business that runs without you. You have to have a business that grows without you.
I think it's understated right now. I want you to acknowledge this: the appreciation for the sale process that you've just shared and articulated. I've not heard someone say before, actually. You've just really educated a lot of listeners and made them aware of, what's to come should they want to sell this as well. One of them big players did want to buy this.
Yes.
Do you want to say who it was?
Yeah, Sage. Yeah.
So Sage, but are you allowed to say what the turnover was at the time? You don't have to say any figures that you don't want to say.
Yeah, 1.5 million.
So 1.5 million in revenue.
Yeah, small.
And they wanted to buy at a big fee. You don't need to share that again.
Yeah.
But, it's 8 figures.
Yes.
Do you remember the day that the offer came through?
Yes, I remember
Where were you?
Vividly. We were taking my wife out for a meal. We're going to stay away for the night.
So wife's called Becky.
Yeah. We'd gone out for a meal because we were either going to celebrate or commiserate, whatever. Because this is the thing, it wasn't a pressured sale. Like, if we didn't sell, it wasn't a problem. We just get back on and crack on. We love what we're doing. We had a big growth curve ahead of us. It wasn't a problem. But I just thought it was maybe, I'd made a commitment to my family that if we got over this amount, I would sell it for this amount. So that was the promise I'd made. And I felt we're in that territory. So I went away for the night. It wasn't Sage that sent the first offer in. They completely missed the deadline, which is, if you're negotiating with a company that have got, they've got a huge part in America as well, you're working between time zones, things can overrun, So the first company sent us an offer that was significantly more than our original goal. And I was like, Becky, they've sent this through. Sage still didn't send anything through the next day or the next day. And it was a Sunday morning at 7:00 and I'd woke up. And I'd got a message from the M&A guy. He says, you need to check your inbox. And I checked it. I still remember the feeling now. And I ran upstairs and woke Becky up. I said, Beck, this is what they've just offered. And then the other company came back with a higher offer. But we went with Sage because we felt culturally we were more aligned with them, and they were the better fit and the better home for our team. And the other big thing that I'm super proud of is that, we had a young team, a junior team really, And what I did was we had playbooks for everything, but we gave them the space to become the best they can be. It was a safe space where they could try things, experiment things, and they all shone. And when they got acquired by Sage, they got significant salaries and bonuses and life-changing sums themselves, which was a hugely exciting part of the process. But you know what? Our net promoter score was 78, which is classed as world class.
Yeah, world class.
Our employer net promoter score was in the 80s. So it wasn't just that we'd built a great business that was profitable, that never took investment, that I own 90% of, and that we got this amazing result. It was the fact that it was a great place for the team to work. We had a huge impact on the accounting industry. And I put some figures into ChatGPT a few months ago, and I said, right, I want you to be super, super conservative. This is the brief. This is how many people that bought our product. Let's assume only 50% of them actually fully used it. And let's say they only used it to this extent. And let's say there were small accountants with this number of clients and they got this amount of uplift in their fees, etc. This is how many people have read my book. I put some very conservative numbers in, and it came back with a figure. I said, no, I want you to be more conservative than that. How much additional value do you think we've generated in the industry? And it was over £100 million of additional value that we'd brought to the accounting industry in that time. And what's great about that is two things. One is we've impacted an industry, but also the clients that they serve, the business owners that they serve, are now investing at a higher level into the finance function of their business as well. Because if an accountant isn't selling all they can to their clients are not investing in the finance function enough. So what was exciting for me was that the thousands and thousands of businesses were getting a higher level of financial input into their business.
You've done a real good job there of influencing us and what you've just said. You know, you believed in what you did, and right at the start you said, I want to impact many people and make a difference. And you've convinced yourself of that. Now, one thing in Untapped, what I really like is why it's so hard to solve, all right? And then you go on to say, this is it. It's a lack of abundance. That's why it's so hard for people, for let's say some of our listeners right now, to solve the problems in their industry. It's so hard because of lack of abundance.
Yes.
So do you mean that they're too bothered about themselves?
They'll typically have a scarcity mindset, that they'll perhaps be playing not to lose versus playing to win. So where that book came from was that someone had a go in our Go Proposal community saying that what we were charging as a monthly fee, our product, was too much. And we had a lower fee of like £60 a month. I'm like, we're talking about £60 a month. Why are you even thinking that? Why don't you just go and see how you can make more money from it? And it really annoyed me. So I calmed down.
So you wrote a book.
Well, before I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to assume you make 20% profit, right? This accountant. I'll take 50 accountants now, and I will help you to increase your fees by £300 a month each over the next 30 days from existing clients for the same work you're already doing. And then Go Proposal is free for life. Who's in? So I took 50 accountants and I thought, right, what do I need to do? Well, first of all, I have to get them thinking abundantly. I have to change their mindset. Within 30 days, those 50 accountants had increased their revenue by over £500,000 a year collectively, over £830 a month of increased fees from existing clients, right? I thought, I wonder if I fluked it. So I waited a month, so I took another 50 accountants and I repeated the process again. And then I committed it to a book. And it all started off with, this is the thing, right? You've got to believe you sat on a diamond mine, okay? And the issue is, you know the diamond mine story with the guy that found the rock in South Africa.
What, just gave up too soon? Or?
No, that was the gold story. Sorry. So the guy in South Africa, I'm going to get the names wrong. He was called Erasmus, and there was a farmer, and he'd sold his farm because it wasn't making enough money. It was a generational farm. They wasn't making enough money, so he sold it to this Dutch family, and they took over the farm. And one day, a pipe got blocked, so he got his son to go and get a stick from the river, and he went and got a stick from the river. I always get shivers when I tell this story, to clear the pipe. But in doing so, he found a shiny rock in the river. He said, "Dad, what's this rock?" He said, "Oh, it's just a stone anyway." The kids were playing with it, and it got put on the mantelpiece, and someone came round to the house and said, "Do you know what that is?" He said, oh, it's just a shiny rock. They said, no, I think it's a diamond. And at this point, no diamond had ever been found in South Africa. He went, don't be stupid. There's loads of them in the river. She said, can I send it off to someone to get examined? So I think it got sent to Vienna, and it was a 23 carat diamond. It was called, I forget the name of it, the Eureka diamond it was called. And that was the site of the Kimberley diamond mine. And that farm, that poor farmer that had farmed it for years and they'd never made any money, was sat on a diamond mine. And the premise of this and the image on the front is that you're sat on a diamond mine. But here's the issue that I observed. You don't see it because you think a diamond looks like a diamond. A diamond doesn't look like a diamond. A diamond is not shiny. It's a rough lump of rock buried in the ground, covered in crap. It needs digging out, it needs cleaning up, and it needs knocking into shape. But so many business owners have diamond clients. They've just not turned them into diamond clients. They've got diamond staff. They've not turned them into diamond staff. And they're too busy looking out there trying to find this perfect diamond. Diamonds don't look like that. Great clients don't exist. Great clients are created. And you've got to have the systems in place in your business that can take that rough lump of rock with a bit of sparkle to it and turn it into a diamond.
You got me, you had me at a lot there, and all of the listeners too. I'm really pleased you just shared that story. And in that, there's some inspiration really for the listeners, like the belief. You sat on a diamond business. You sat on a diamond team. You sat on diamond customers, turn them into diamonds. It's a mindset more so than anything. So you sold this business for life-changing amounts of money. And then some of your biggest lessons in life happened after the sale.
Yeah.
Was it all hunky-dory?
No. Because what I realised, the money hit the bank, the deal got signed, the money hit the bank, and you wake up the next day thinking that you're going to feel different. Because you're not after the thing, you're not after the goal. You're after the feeling that you think the goal will bring. So I woke up the next day and I didn't feel any different. So then you have to ask the question, well, what was it that I was looking for in the first place? What was this feeling that I thought needed to change in me? And then I kind of went on a bit of a downward spiral and hit, I would say, the lowest point of my life after the sale of the business, actually. Because even though you gain this great thing, a huge amount of cash, freed up time, recognition, all this other stuff, there is also loss that comes with it. You've lost your purpose, you've lost your team, you've lost your drive, there's lots that goes with it. You've lost the phone ringing every day saying, James, can you fix this? Can you sort this out and stuff? Yes, I'm important. I can sort this shit for you, right? So you lose all that, but you can't complain to anyone because everyone around you is struggling to get the thing that you've now got. So you can't say, oh, I'm really struggling. I've got all this money and all this time and I don't feel good. Like, you're getting no sympathy from anybody, right? But I did hit a real rock bottom moment. And I would say it was a breakdown, and I don't say that lightly, but it was a breakdown. And I managed to get the right people around me, my wife in the first instance, and then a great therapist, and then great mentors to help me to go through this. And what I've concluded from that is that if you're an entrepreneur and you do sell, it's not just that it's likely that you will break down, it's inevitable. And I think you also need to. You need to fully break down and rebuild as the next version of you, So my mentor gave me this great terminology, which is, I'm going to help you to prepare for the second half. The first half's over, right? You're in half time now, and the second half is fundamentally different to what the first half is, and you have to come out as a different player. So I got the scaffolding up around me and went through a rebuilding process, and I'm back out on the field now as a different player.
The power of the halftime team talk, eh? Yeah, it's a really powerful lesson. How do you define success now? Is it different?
It is, and I'm not sure I don't know what success is. And I watched a good thing recently. I can't remember what the guy's name is, but he's talking about happiness, like pursuing happiness. And he said, I'm not pursuing happiness. He said, are you happy? Was the question. He said, I'm not pursuing happiness. I'm pursuing peace. And it really resonated with me that, it's a different thing that I feel I'm actually after now. But for me, I'm writing a new book and I'm passing on my learnings from what I've done over the last few years. Not that I figured it all out, because I absolutely haven't. And not that my answers are everyone else's answers, because they're not, but I think I've figured some interesting things out that I think would help shorten that growth. And one of the interesting ideas that I think I've come up with is this idea of small tech, big exit. Like, what I developed was a small piece of technology. It solved a small problem for one industry, mainly in one territory, but we got a huge exit off the back of it. There's so many business owners. Like, I've got a friend of mine who's got a great physio practice. He's got 3 physio branches. But building a bricks and mortar business is hard. Like, you've got to employ staff, and you've got to get patients in, and you've got to have a new building, and, you know, all this stuff, right? But within that, he's developed some IP that we could actually develop some technology from. And that's his next growth of scale, you know, scaling up next. He doesn't need to have another physio practice. We could look at what you've already got and scale it in another way. So I think there's so many businesses out there that have got the potential to develop a little bit of tech because they've solved the problem in some way in that business. They've got some IP they've figured out, and maybe they could, like I say, develop a small piece of tech that solves a little problem.
Now, at the end of the day, you've had a lot of business failures. Mm-hmm. You've successfully and purposefully, let me just articulate, started a business, built it, sold it, exited it, had the hard lessons that come afterwards. Now, through all of that process, you're just a normal guy.
Yeah.
And we were in Antigua, me and you.
Yeah.
And you were telling me, a lot of people look at your life thinking, oh, it should be amazing. And then you said, yeah, you want to see me after I've dropped the kids off at school.
Yeah.
Because it is carnage getting those kids to school.
Yeah. It's like they're going camping every day, like with the amount of shit they need. Like my daughter, the amount of footwear my daughter needs. She's got a netball shoes, then a long jump spikes, and then a hurdling spike, and all this stuff. My wife's brilliant at getting all that. I'm not taking any credit for getting all that together. But one of my goals, all throughout my business, and still to this day, is to be able to take my kids to and from school every day. And this is the thing that you have to recognize if you have kids. Like, I had a startup business, but I had 2 young children as well. They were startups as well, right? That need your attention. So you get all these gurus. You got to hustle, you got to do this. I'm like, you haven't got any kids. Shut your mouth. You have no right to tell me what life should be like if you don't have kids. So anyone that's got children and building a business, like, my hat's off to you. I know how hard that is. But my primary goal was to take my kids to and from school every day, and I still do it. With the exception of this morning, I have to get my dad to take him this morning. But mostly I will still do that most days.
That's because it's here. and you know, sometimes it's just first challenge over. I mean, you live a normal life. Your kids are arguing, you're getting out of the car and you get them to school. It's like, oh, thank God for that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to summarize this to the listeners right now. Get a solution for a problem that exists. Sell properly. You wrote a whole book on this. And that is going to build serious foundations in your business, like you've said. Market consistently. Know where you're going from day one, you know, and if you don't know where you're going and you pass day one, just get your plan super clear now. Even to the point where you said that dream board and the vivid picture, even put who's going to buy your business, change your logo to their colours, put their logo on your colour so that you're amalgamating it. You then said, I'm going to create a safe place for my team.
Yeah.
To grow as individuals.
Yes.
And you were only 12 people in your team at the end. You then said, I'm going to create a playbook where all the team can follow the systems.
Yes.
You even got to the point where when the sale comes, each team member is getting rewarded for it. So they bought into to this as well. You then said, not only did we have NPS for our customers, we had NPS for our team as well. And one of them was 78, which is world class, and the other one was over 80.
Yeah.
And me summarizing that is the blueprint for success for the listeners right now. So
people think that when you create playbooks for everything and scripts for every phone call and how an email should be sent and how a stamp should be put on an envelope and everything that you create robots with your team. The absolute opposite is true. The moment you remove all of that thinking for your team allows them to now bring their creative best self to the party, because they're not having to worry about, did I say the right thing on that call? Did that email get sent? They can now become this creative person where they can run experiments and try things and become their best version. If you can do that, if you can systemize everything which runs the business, and then have the people run the systems, but then to be growing those systems, developing those systems and improving them as well, that's where you grow big people who in turn grow your big business.
Guys, for being in presence of greatness today, James Ashford, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.